The fact of the matter is these kids have aggression built up and frustration, and like with the state of the world, I don't blame them. If I had it, I can't even imagine how it is now. You need somewhere to go and see some fucking punk rock or something and, you know, get that aggression out. And if it doesn't happen there, guess where it's happening? Through your front fucking window with a rock.
Yeah, the shows I was doing, a lot of the kids that were coming because they didn't really have anywhere else to go.
And I remember going and walking in and seeing some Blackened Crust band, and it just changed my fucking life, you know? And I've played all ages shows and seen that happen for other kids, and I don't want that to stop.
It's like our reason for going to work. It's our reason for getting out of bed and stuff. And if we can't, you know, bring that to people and, you know, meet like-minded people and be involved in like a social scene that supports that, like what are we doing here? You know, what's the point?
And without venues, without like proper housing for people, it's like just dissolving as we speak. Like, I'm heartbroken currently and I'm scared for the future. It feels like the city of Vic is like very desperately trying to stomp out the art scene and anything that kind of gave the city like a modicum of character. The issue is never like a lack of interest or a lack of people to book shows. Like that, like a lot of us here also like are like people that book shows and promoters. It's just a lack of venues.
So finding spaces for all ages shows has always been a challenge. Sometimes they're not legal spaces, so like those get shut down.
Even for places to jam in houses, like very
True.
lucky to have these places.
But those jam spaces are closing down almost as fast as the venues.
Like the Carlton, for example, the issue that it had was super fixable. It's just, what's the point? Because it's getting torn down for condos in at the end of this year.
Which we need, but we also we need places to play.
Yeah,
too.
it's like fuck.
You
don't have to destroy venues to build houses.
But you know it's going to be like inaccessible housing, like $2,300 a month for a one bedroom.
Yeah.
And those condos will be overall sold to people renting them out as Airbnbs or buying them as investment opportunities. And again, meanwhile, we got, you know, people struggling every month just to make rent, you know, and it's like, yeah, no, of course, it's going to be hard to keep any kind of arts culture alive that isn't being completely and utterly propped up.
Basically, I went through the whole process of trying to get insurance, and it took a good 3 weeks, and it was getting close to I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this show. And immediately, a concern they had was just the fact that it was metal. I mean, against security, I was okay, well, I mean, it's definitely going way over budget, but I don't know what else I'm going to do here. So I went and tried to get some security set up, and then basically, even though I'd still gone and done that, they still refused to quote me based on the nature of the event, which I don't think is hard to decipher that means it's because it's heavy metal.
I do understand with some of the more extreme forms of music the hesitancy, but also I've been running shows in town for close to 17 years now, and I think I've had all of one fight break out at one of my shows. But again, the all ages thing is the thing I think is most important, because I don't care what kind of community you're in, what kind of scene you're in, if you don't make it comfortable and safe for young people to show up, your scene will die. You know, you have to have new, fresh blood. You have to have new ideas.
Whatever, I'm tired of it all.
This is, for the time being, the Carleton Performing Arts Hub. We're here tonight for our final show at the Carleton before it's unfortunately going to be a pile of dust. This whole thing is being redeveloped in the condos, and just like anything, it gets to a point where it costs too much to maintain something.
This was our home, and there aren't many venues like it. They've been torn down, they've been changed, they're not available. One of the things that was really important to us when we opened this was that it became an all-ages venue, which we had heard from the community just doesn't exist. So there's not a lot of people who can afford a $2,000 venue, not if you don't have the draw of that sort of a crowd, right? we need people to get on board with helping to foster that next generation of performers.
And it's just very unfortunate that we lose a place like this, especially considering we've been losing so many places within the arts. Like we lost Steamers, we lost Logan's, we lost countless venues over the years. And this seemed like a nice bastion, or like almost like a last bastion, or like where you could still come and just do it yourself. And it's very unfortunate that we're losing that.
What we don't have is any support. And the support that we are seeing going to arts are the capital A arts, you know. They'll pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into Folk Fest or Jazz Fest. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those things. We're just asking that we get a little bit of that as well.
I feel like right now the current city council is really putting an effort into more spaces, especially with community centers, and trying to make it easier for that to book.
The Victoria did a music strategy in 2021, and the music strategy had a whole list of policy objectives on supporting music, but it was never funded. So we did this, it got put on the shelf. So one of the things we're trying to do this budget is to give staff a bunch of money to activate the Victorian music strategy. And they have the staff have a bunch of good ideas on how to do that. The city does have the power to like buy blanket insurance for a venue, and that's one way that they could help. I know, the insurance has been a big roadblock for all venues, for sure. The city's also going to be looking at acquiring space. Now, just as we would build a rec center or public library, we are now looking at buying space for arts and culture. So in 4 years, you might see a city-owned nightclub, you might see a city-owned music venue, you might see a city-owned warehouse that has multiple venues inside of it. And that's a big goal for our council. We need to get relaxed rules for unused spaces doing arts and culture. I'd even like to see arts and culture in community centers. Like, we in a community center we'll build a gym so you can like physically work out, but we won't build any creative space so you could kind of creatively work out. It's kind of odd, right? Like, why is our physical health more important than our creative health?
Grassroots is important.
It's so important, and like it makes it accessible. It makes music accessible. It makes live shows accessible.
You look at scenes that are thriving. Look at like Vancouver, and they have it figured out. There's always new venues happening. There's always underground show. Like, on a given Friday or Saturday, there's like 4 shows happening. They're all awesome, like super good bands, out of town bands, and it's like local, and it's like DIY, and it's like it's our scene, right? It's for the musicians. It's for people that are into that music. It's the real deal, and that's what we need here.
There's not going to be big acts if we don't support them at their local beginning stages. Those teenagers aren't going to go on to become the next Nirvana, to become the next whoever, if they don't get a chance, if there's no place for them to start.
I think, gathering as a community and just like making it really like a really like vocal statement of like, no, like we need an art scene and we need a music scene and we need a place to do all of these things. And I think just like supporting your local scene, supporting your local musicians, like choosing to go to a smaller DIY show instead of, spending all your money at Shambhala.
This happened because of the community, and it only happened because of the community, and the community can make it happen again, whether it's us or whoever. When those venues open, please get out there and support them.